오늘 할 게임은 와르님의 오브 에디슨 핀치 에디슨 핀치가 남긴 유산들입니다. 클릭 한번 하고 넘겨야 되는구나.
isn't going to make sense to you, and I'm sorry about that. I'm just going to start at the beginning with the house.
집부터.
I lived here until I was 11, but I wasn't allowed inside half the rooms.
여기서 11시까지 살았지만 집에서 방들 중 절반은 들어가보지 못했다.
Inside the mailbox were bills from 7 years ago, marked urgent, open immediately.
우편함 안에는 긴급, 즉시 개봉이라고 적힌 메일들이, 우편들이 쌓여 있었다.
I hadn't been back since my brother Lewis's funeral.
나는 루이스 오빠의 장례식 이후부터 오지 않았다. CCTV로 보고 있다는 소린가?
In her will, my mother left me a key, but didn't tell me what it
어머니
unlocked.
유서에 나를 위해 남긴 열쇠가 있었지만 열쇠가 무엇을 여는지
Maybe
알려주지
she thought
않았다.
I'd know, or she
아마
thought
내가 알
the
것이라고
mystery
생각한
would be enough
것일까?
to bring me back.
아니면 비밀 궁금해진 내가 돌아올 것이라 생각했을지도 모르겠다. 여기도 길 있네? 일로 갈래. 어?
The truth is, even after I inherited the house, I never thought I'd come back to it.
오, 집을 상속받았구만.
But now I had questions about my family that only the house knew the answers to.
내 맘대로 가대. 막아놨구나. 어우, 어두워.
The woods around the house have always been uncomfortably silent,
기분
as if
나쁘게
they're
보일까?
about to say something but never do.
어우, 시프트 계속 하니까 울렁울렁거려. 어? 시프트는 줌, 컨트롤도 줌, 오른쪽 클릭도 줌. 줌이 왜 이렇게 많아?
The house was exactly like I remembered it, the way I'd been dreaming about it.
야, 집. 요, 집. 오우씨. 저거 뭐야? 다락방이냐? 괜찮나? 이쪽이 전문이고, 저쪽이 차고? 차고로 갈래.
As a child, the house made me uncomfortable in a way I couldn't put into words.
그치, 집이 저렇다고
Now,
돼 있으면
as a
불편하지.
17-year-old, I knew exactly what those words were. I was afraid of the house.
집이 무섭다고? 그러죠. 아, 뭔 소린가 했네.
The house felt like it had always been here. Even the swing set was older than my mother.
요. 어이, 왜?
Crawling through the doggy door used to be a lot easier when I was 11.
열쇠 없어?
The power had been turned off the night we left.
저는 꺼두었다. 야, 자전거 이런 거 다 놔두고 가나 보네. 차도 놔두고. 떠날 거면 그냥 다 팔고 가지.
For the first time in years,
정말 오랜만에 처음으로
I felt like I was home.
집에 있는 느낌이 들었다. 오, 집에 책 엄청 많아. 여기도 다
But
책.
instead of a family, there were just memories of one.
추억만 남아있다.
Like how only one restaurant would deliver to our house, so we had Chinese a lot.
중식당만 배달해서 줬구나. 캔은 왜?
Or how after Louis started working at the cannery, we all got sick of eating salmon. Except our cat, Molly.
아, 루이스란 오빠가 참치캔 공장에 개 많아.
The table was still a wreck from the night we left.
우리가 떠난 밤 그대로 테이블 엉망진창이었다.
It was like a bomb had gone off, killing everyone but sparing the furniture.
폭탄이 터져 가구만 남기고 다 죽인 것 같았다. 호수도 있고 뷰 좋은데.
Nothing in the house looked abnormal. There was just too much of it, like a smile with too many teeth.
그치, 책 개 많네 진짜. 여기 도서관이 뭐야?
Even the fireplace had a story. Edie told me the bricks came from the original house, after it sank.
그냥 집 원성적 평범했구만. TV도 놔둔 것 같고. 오, 악기.
My mom wasn't much of an optimist, but she never stopped believing that my brother Milton was alive.
누군가 사라졌었구나.
A lot of things got left behind in the whirlwind of that last night.
마지막 밤에 뭔가 있었구만. 여기는 왜 갇혀있지? 못 보나? 못 보네. 개쩐다. 개편해 보인다.
After Milton disappeared, Mom sealed up all the bedrooms. Then Edie retaliated and drilled peepholes.
밀턴은 사라졌고 에디는 뭐
I spent a lot of time playing in Great Uncle Walter's room.
중주 할아버지
I
방에서
think my mom
놀았다고?
sometimes regretted not sealing it up. Louis told me there were secret passages, but I never believed him.
이게 그 유산을 남겨준 열쇠인가?
Turns out, my mom was really good at keeping secrets.
비밀문이구나 이게.
Now it was time to find out what my mom had been afraid of. Reading this, maybe it sounds like I had a plan.
다락방 뭐 이런 느낌인데?
But I had no idea what was behind that door.
여자의 방 느낌인데?
Just like I had no idea where all this was gonna lead.
이 모든 게 어떻게 될지 전혀 몰랐다. 불가사리, 몰리, 에디, 세븐, 바바라, 곤충 박제도 많고. 1947년 디셈버. 몰리라는 사람의 방이구나.
I grew up looking at Molly's room through the peephole. Being inside for the first time, I felt like I'd stepped behind a painting.
몰리 방을 몰리 들여다보는 구멍이 있었어?
Molly's gerbil had a tiny bedroom with its own even tinier gerbil cage.
저빌? 여기 저빌인가? 못 나가고. 여기가 엿보기 구멍 있는 곳이구나. 몰리 핀치.
December 13th, 1947.
나는 곧
Dear
사라진다고.
Diary, I'll be gone soon, but I wanted to tell somebody about what's gonna happen. It started when Mom sent me to bed without dinner. I woke up and I was starving, so I looked around for something to eat.
내가 몰리 역할이구나.
The
저빌버기는
gerbil food was dry, but I didn't mind it.
저빌 먹이를 먹었고. 아, 여기는 화장실이구나.
I kept eating and eating.
치아? 오요. 거식증이야? 아,
I
폭식증이야?
ate a lot of things that night.
이거 보통 장식품 아니야? 새 소리랑.
Then I heard chirping outside my window. It was a barn swallow going back to her nest. I reached out for her.
야, 위험하게 쓰리.
And suddenly,
아?
I was a cat.
고양이가 되었다?
I tried to be quiet, but the bird was really scared.
뭐 별거 없이 클릭만 하면 되는구나. 뭐 이러다
Mom and Dad didn't even look at me.
엄마와 나는 보지 않았다. 고양이 울음소리도 내?
I jumped and I almost got her. I could tell she was getting really tired. Now I was up in the big tree. I promised Dad I wouldn't climb it anymore. All I cared about was eating that mama bird.
엄마 새를 먹고 저 새를 먹는데 관심이
I
쏠려.
gobbled her up,
어우,
and suddenly I was an owl. First, all I heard was the wind. Then I heard little teeth nibbling in the grass. Rabbits.
아, 여기 어딘가에 토끼가 있어. 그걸 찾아봐. 토끼. 안 보이는데? 아, 저거.
I imagined his face looking up and seeing mine through my talons. I swallowed him up, and I didn't chew one bit. Then I flew off to find something bigger.
더 큰 것을 찾기 위해 날아다녔다고. 뭐가 있으려나?
A mama rabbit.
엄마 토끼.
She was almost too big to carry. I started choking, but I couldn't stop eating.
질식하기 시작했지만 멈출 수가 없었다고?
Suddenly, I was a shark.
에? 들판이었잖아요. 오. 팔딱? 아, 이번에 클릭하면 팔딱팔딱 뛰네. 팔딱. 올라가요. 팔딱. 팔딱.
I rolled off the cliff and into the ocean. Now,
오.
I was hungrier than ever.
어느 때보다 더 배고파졌다. 저기는 물고기 됐지 뭐.
I wanted fat, juicy seals.
아니 마우스랑 반대로 움직여?
tore off her flipper, and it tasted really good.
이걸 키를 뜯었는데 맛이 정말 좋았다. 다인 거 아니야?
Grabbed on tight. When I was so hungry, I jumped out of the water. When I opened my eyes, everything had changed.
뭐요? 이 뭐요? 이 뭐요?
Now I was a monster when I smelled
나는
people.
괴물이 되었다. 제 모든 곳 사람들이 냄새를 맡았다. 이쪽이 아닌가? 아, 아래로 가도 되구나.
I was big when I moved real
나는 컸지만
quiet.
정말 조용하게 움직였다. 오우씨. 깜짝이야. 저 라디오 끄고
I wanted to stop, but also I
멈추고
didn't.
싶었지만 멈추지 않았다. 왼쪽에서 소리가 나요. 아, 건너편이구나. 무슨 면단이 날고 그 입에를 면단다. 뭐? 아이고, 우와, 이게 깜짝이야. 막 가는 게. 근데 촉수가 한 개밖에 없어? 그것도 좀 희한한 괴물이긴 하네. 안녕하세요.
After the last passenger, I was still hungry. And across the water, I smelled something new. Something I had to
물 건너.
have. So I swam towards it.
물
I
건너에 뭐가
slithered onto
있다고?
the sand, and the good smell went into an old pipe.
모래 위를 미끄러졌고 냄새 나는 오래된 파이프에 들어갔다. 지렁이야? 오이 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 오이. 아? 아, 어지러워. 오이 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 오이. 아, 뭔가 있다. 오이 오이. 변기 하이. 여기 아까 전에 화장실 아니야? 오이 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 오이. 무빙.
I got closer and closer.
점점 가까이 다가갔다. 너 예방이 있었니? 아우 어두워 안 보여.
All my stomach started growling.
내 위장들이 전부 울렁거리기 시작했다.
And suddenly, I was me again. I held my breath for a long time, but I couldn't hear anything. I think it's waiting for me to fall asleep. But it's not going to wait much longer. It needs to feed, and we both know I will be delicious.
내가 그 괴물의 심정을 아니까 그 괴물이 날 먹는다? 쉽지 않네.
I'm not sure if I believed all of that, but I'm sure Edie would have.
10살에 죽었어. 37년 되면
I can't describe it, but I felt like some part of Molly was still here.
머리 일부가 남아있는 느낌이 들었다. 몰리 적혀있네. 아 그래서 중주 할머니 방이라고 했던 거구나. 생각해보니까. 너도 이리로 가게? 오 존나 위험해.
This will be obvious later, but my mom never told me any of these stories. Edie would have, but Mom didn't like bringing up the past.
여기가
Though,
엄마
when we
방
adopted
아니었나?
a stray kitten, she was the one who named it Molly.
아 여기였구나. 고양이 이름을 몰려고 지어준 건 엄마였다.
I spent a lot of time in Great Grandma Edie's room.
에디 중주 할머니 방 많은 시간을 보냈다. 중주 할머니 방인가 보네. 현송가? MT 아 이거는 그 투약하는 사람들 날짜 까먹지 말라고 월화수목금토일 해놓은 그거구나. 블리 에븐 핀치
When Edie
1930.
told people Sven was killed by a dragon, she could also have said he was building a dragon-shaped slide that collapsed. She could have, but she didn't.
아 용모양 미끄럼틀 만들다가 죽었다는 얘기인가?
Even in her 90s, sometimes Edie seemed a lot younger than my mother.
아 여기가 에디고 중주 할머니.
The only trace Grandpa Sam's first wife Kay left on the house was the pink bathroom.
첫 번째
It was a
핑크가
pretty big trace.
핑크색 화장실 쉽지 않긴 하네. 아니 이 집은 일기 왜 이렇게 잘 써? 그리고 쉽지 않아 일기 이렇게 쓰는 거.
There's a secret in this bathroom.
이 욕실에 비밀이 있다.
It's in the last place you would look.
상상하지 못할 곳에 그것이
It isn't
있다.
in the cupboard. It's
희한하네,
hidden
희한.
in this book.
허허 신기하다. 아니 집이 미로야. 이거 사진.
Sven gave Sam an old camera he'd refurbished. He never put it down.
그치 이거 인화하는 곳이네. 어두워야 되니까. 이거 독 발암물질 아닌가?
From the paintings on the wall, it was clear my brother Milton had been here before me.
밀턴이라고 적혀 있긴 하네. 그 화장실에서 이쪽으로 오면 게스트하지 않나? What the?
I knew Grandpa Sam had a twin,
집에 왜
and that he never talked about him.
그도 그에 대해 결코 이야기하지 않았다.
I guess my grandpa didn't like history any more than my mom did.
아마 그냥 그 적사를 싫어했던 것 같다. 요 약간 애들한테 로방인데.
How I Want to Remember My Brother by Sam Finch. The thing I remember is that when he made up his mind, that was it. my brother said he'd die before he ate another mushroom. And he did.
그때까지
At Barbara's
버섯을
funeral, we swore we'd never be afraid again. And he wasn't. I think Calvin always wanted to fly.
날고 싶어 했던 것 같다. 야, 그냥 계절 탄다.
Calvin, dinner's ready. Coming.
But that day, he finally made up his mind to do it.
뭐
I
하늘을
told him going around
날리라고?
was impossible. Maybe if I hadn't said that,
나무 끊어져. 이 나무
Calvin, I'm not gonna tell you again.
maybe if the wind hadn't picked up,
땅이 들지 않았더라면
then
나까지
maybe
불었던 거야?
he'd still be here. But I doubt. I think he'd already made up his mind. That's what I want to remember about my brother.
날아간다, 야. 오우야.
The day he made up his mind to fly, and he did.
근데 타다가 죽은 거야? 이야, 쉽지 않네.
Calvin's story felt strangely familiar. When I was younger, I remember trying to do the exact same thing.
켈빈, 바바라, 에디, 오딘, 월터, 샘, 케이. 모르겠다. 여기도 책이 진짜 많다.
After the funeral, Edie roped off Calvin's half of the room.
켈빈의 방 공간 절반을 밧줄로 막았다.
Mom said Grandpa Sam enlisted at 18 and never set foot in the room again.
많은 쌤이 18세에 입대하고 두 번 다시 방에 들어간 적이 없다고 했다. 이 정도로 가깝게 지냈구나. 샘, 켈빈. 근데 사진도 있고. 한 명은 우주비행사가 꿈이었고 한 명은 군인이 꿈이었구나. (61년에) 끊겨 있구나 달력이. 그럼 이쪽으로 올라가면 아무것도 없구만. 또 여기로 길이 있어? 길 복잡한 거 보고 어이없는 거 보소. 이거 집을 개조하면 더 이상 집이 아닌데.
The passages were a pretty tight fit.
꽤
They'd
비싸다.
obviously been built for smaller hands and bellies.
앞에도 뭔가 있고 여기도 뭔가 있는데. 일단 여기부터. 문이 이렇게 다 막힌 거구나.
Whenever people ask me about my family,
바바라 핀치.
the first thing they always want to know about is Barbara.
My friend Bigfoot. 바바라 핀치. 영화 배우였나?
Mom must have locked the third floor stairs on the night we left.
3층 계단을 잠근 것 같다. 돌아가는 것도 방법이긴 하겠다마는 좀
Edie's
더.
father Odin built the original house.
에디의 아버지인 오딘이 원래 집을 지었다. 바바라 16살에 죽은 거네. 그림. 켈빈 방이고 세븐 호프스턴 핀치 에디. 야, 방 진짜 넓긴 하다. 여기가 몰리. 저기 문은 뭘까? 여기도 밀턴이 먼저 왔다 갔네.
Growing up, I always thought of Barbara as a child star.
바바라가 아역스타라고 생각했다. 이렇게만 보면 진짜 아역스타겠는데? 바바라 인형이랑 뭐 수상한 상, 기타에 미안 안 들어갈게. 나갈 거야 아직 못 둘러봤어. 다림질에 얘도
I never
책을
thought about how hard it must have been for her afterwards.
많이 했는지 생각해본 적이 없다. 여기 촌이라며. 촌인데 스타야?
Of all the stories people wrote about Barbara's death, I'm surprised Edie saved this one.
Old Jack here with another ghastly tale.
미국의 가장 불온한 가족으로부터 영감을 받은 무시무시한 이야기를 올드 잭이 들려주겠다. 그 제목은 바바라 핀치의 놀라운
The
결말.
surprise ending of Barbara Finch. As a child star, Barbara was famous for her scream. Now at 16, she was all washed up, a has-been. But in a lucky break, she'd been asked to perform her signature scream at a local convention for monster movie fans. It was just the boost her career needed. Unfortunately, her scream hadn't aged well.
Getting better. I think you just need the right motivation.
Her biggest fan and current boyfriend, Rick, was about to demonstrate when...
Now that was a great scream.
It was Barbara's father, Sven. He'd slipped into a table saw and had to be rushed to the emergency room. So Barbara got stuck babysitting her youngest brother, Walter. Her convention comeback was cancelled.
Okay, I'm hearing frustration, but I'm not hearing terror. What if I tried...
A gang of hoodlums in Halloween masks have been terrorizing Orcas Island tonight. Police are urging residents to...
That came from the basement.
You're right! Also, I loved your delivery on that. Why is your basement door locked?
Because my dad likes making puzzles and secret passages.
아빠가
There's a
비밀번호를
key hidden in the
좋아하는구나.
music box. The secret is to keep winding and winding until finally the key pops out.
Thanks, babe. I'll be back in a sec.
얼굴을 계속 돌리는 거구나.
20 minutes later, Rick hadn't returned. So Barbara went to look for him, right on cue.
남자친구가 범인이야?
She reached for the music box.
돌리고.
She listened for Rick, but the house was silent.
야, 이 극비금은 대바대잖아. 오, 쉣.
She found Rick's crutch and imagined the worst.
오, 대바대 실화야? 오. 오. 들어가나?
'Cause 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 'c
들어가나? 굿. 피부는 손바닥이 있는데요.
The gang's leader is the infamous Hookman killer, Dr. Carl Hamill, who impaled and then ate his family 10 years ago tonight.
오우 쉣. 아 여기서 아버지가 이제 손이 절단된 테이블 속. 빠이야.
The old fridge rattled and grew still.
냉장고에 뭔가 있나?
Oh dear!
오.
Rick?
Barb, relax. I was just trying to scare you to help you find your scream.
Well, I'm not scared, Rick. I'm furious.
Then act furious. All I'm getting from you now is that you're hurt and confused and
사이코야?
She threw him out, but she kept a little something to remember him by.
Barb, have you seen my other crutch?
And she was still holding it when she fell
싫어요.
asleep watching the late picture show. Hours later...
Barbara! Walter, what's going on up there? Ah! Okay, I'm coming up, but if this is a trick, you're dead, Walter.
또 설마 남자친구는 아니지? 아니 대바대 그금 아무리 들어도 대바대인데. 아이 들어가요. 설마 이걸로 동생을 죽이는 건 아니지?
Walter, are you there?
Walter had vanished, but his bedside radio was still on.
Orcas Island police describe the man as 6 feet tall, with a steel hook for a hand. Residents are urged to lock all doors and windows and notify the police of any suspicious activity.
Barbara turned, saw the hookman, and was speechless. He was quite smashing.
오 쉣.
He couldn't get enough of Barbara.
Okay, Barbara, there's gotta be another way out of here.
That night, she played her part beautifully.
집이 요새라서. 몰리.
Molly's door hadn't been opened in years. The hinges groaned.
이것도 남자친구 아니지? 안녕하세요.
He wasn't moving, but she sensed the story might not be
이거 아무리 봐도
over
남자친구일
yet.
것 같은데? 계세요?
The hookman had vanished. She listened for his breathing, but all she heard was...
띵동.
At the door, she heard whispering. It was coming from inside the house.
Oh dear.
The monsters had come to surprise
What
her.
the?
For Barbara, it was a dream come true. Then she saw what kind of monsters they were, and she realized what was about to happen. She was going to be famous. And with her final breath, Barbara Finch gave the performance of her life. I wasn't there myself, but I hear Barbara was magnificent. Poor girl. She had a taste for stardom. But unfortunately, so did her fans. Of course, the police blamed it all on poor Rick, who disappeared the same night. And little Walter? Hiding under his bed the whole time. He took it all pretty hard, but that's another story. As for Barbara, tucked inside the music box is all they ever found of her. Her ear. Now
살해당했구나.
that's what I call a real eerie tale.
오.
Edie told me all Barbara wanted was to be remembered, as absurd as that comic was. Maybe what Edie saw was a happy ending.
그냥 살해당한 거 아니야, 이 정도면? 접어. 결국 어릴 때 반짝 유명했던 스타라는 소리구나. Happy birthday, 빠바라. 잠깐만, 이거 음식인 거잖아. 몇 년을 여기서 이번에 나가는 길은 없나? 이번엔 그냥 나가야 되나 보네.
I guess now I know why Mom didn't like me playing with the music box.
오르골을 돌리는 것을 싫어하는 이유를 알 것 같다. 오르골을 돌리러 가자.
It's funny. All those times I played with the music box and never found the basement key.
지하실 열쇠를 찾지 못했다. 지하실 열쇠를 찾아라는 소리군. 오르골. 빠졌다. 열려라 참깨. 불 좀 켜주면 안 될까? 당구대. 큐대도 있네. 보일러인가?
Mom said the basement was off limits, unless I wanted another tetanus shot.
녹슨 게 많았나 보군. 이거 미끄럼틀 또한 뭐 이런 건가 보네.
I saw Edie sneak down to the basement once, carrying packages.
에디가 꾸러미를 들고 지하실로 내려간 걸 본 적이 있다.
I thought maybe she was hiding presents.
아까 전에 숨어 있었던 냉장고네.
It turned out she was hiding a lot more than that.
여기서 비밀 주문이 있어? 야. 춥네. 안 보여.
I remember asking Mom once about where Walter had gone. She said after Barbara died, he got as far away as he could. If there's a pattern in all these stories,
컴퓨터이 있다면
I think it's that none of us has gotten very far.
아주 멀면 못 갔다는 이야기다. 월터.
Goodbye, everyone. I can't believe I've been down here for 30 years. On that first day, after the shaking started, I didn't think I'd survive a week. But after a few days, I settled into a
아,
routine.
마우스를 동그랗게 돌려야 되는구나.
That's what kept me sane. Having a schedule, living for today.
강도?
I always expected to be dead tomorrow.
16년.
But if you wait long enough, you get used to anything. Even a monster on the other side of a door starts to feel normal,
반대편에 있는 괴물?
almost friendly. And then one day, everything just
오우씨.
stopped.
2005년인데?
Whatever that thing was, it was gone. Maybe it got tired of waiting. Or maybe I just got tired of being afraid. It's been a week now, the longest in 30 years. I'm done waiting. I have to leave while I still can.
여기 왜 갇혀 있던 거야? 전쟁 났던 건가?
I know it's out there somewhere. Whatever killed Barbara,
바로 죽인 그거. 아.
Molly, and Calvin. Maybe this is all a mistake.
아, 그 동생이구나.
But I need to stop living the same day, even if it kills me.
어두워서 안 보여요.
Whatever's out there, I want you to know I'm ready for it. I'm going to appreciate all of it, especially the food. I don't mind if I only have a year left, or a month, or a single week. I'd be happy with one new day. I can already imagine the sun on my face.
진동 소리가 그럼 열차 소리였어?
Walter died when I was 6. I can't believe my mom never told me he was down here.
이야, 이건 좀 충격적인데?
I'm sure my mom was trying to protect me.
자, 내려가 보자고.
Maybe she was afraid I'd end up like Walter.
마스터.
But if she never told me about an uncle under the house,
시발 살고 있는 삼촌에 대하여
I
엄마가
can only
절대로 얘기하지
imagine what
않았으나
else she was hiding.
무엇을 숨기고 있을지는 알 수 없는 놈이시다.
I don't want to make the same mistakes she made.
엄마의 예술을 반복하고 싶다. 쓰레기는 여기다 버렸구나. 버터. 스프. 캔.
Trying to bury something that's still alive.
아직 살아있는 것을 묻으려고 하다.
Now that there's only one of us left, or maybe two,
한 명? 어쩌면 2명 남았으니까.
I thought it was time I heard the stories for myself
내가 직접 이야기를 들어봐야 할 시간이 왔다고
and found
생각했다.
out what happened to everyone else.
아직 한 명이 더 살아있을 수도
But now
있다는
I'm worried
소린가?
the stories themselves might be the problem.
이야기 자체가 문제가 될까봐 걱정이다.
Maybe we believed so much in a family curse.
가족이 저주를 너무
We made
믿어버린
it real.
것일지도 모른다. 우리가 저주를 실행시켰다. 월터 묘지가 여기 있구나. 자, 바바라 아니야? 여긴 길이 끊겼는데?
I don't know if I should even be writing this.
이걸 써도 되는 것인지 모르겠다. 어떤 거?
Maybe it'd be better if all this just died with me.
다 없어지는 것이 좋을지도 모르겠다. 저주
But I
같은
thought you
것들이
should know about your family.
가족에 대해서 네가 알아야 된다고. 아, 임신했었지?
And the history you're a part of.
모두 포함된 그 역사를. 저쪽 계단 올라가야겠나? 바다로는 못 들어가고. 아 근데 집 진짜 확장을 어떻게 한 거야? 아,
Though to be honest, I feel as lost as you probably do right now.
만약 네가 지금 그런 것처럼 갈피를 잡을 수 없을 것 같은 느낌이다.
I think the people in these stories believed them, for what that's worth.
이야기 등장한 사람들은 그걸 믿은 것 같다. 저주 이런 거 말하는 것 같구만.
And when you look at the house,
그리고 집을
that
보면
history of imagination and stubbornness and madness, any of it seems possible.
그치, 이게 마녀의 성이지. 저쪽으로 한번 가야 될 것 같은데 가볼까?
I think we've been surrounded by death for so long, we've just gotten used to it.
그동안 죽음으로 둘러싸여 있어서 익숙해진 것이라 생각한다.
What kind of family finishes building a cemetery before starting the house?
뭐? 가족이 집을 짓기 전에 묘지부터 안 간다고? 이건 좀...
It's embarrassing for me to admit this, but the pet cemetery made me more uncomfortable than the human one.
사람보다 애완동물
3 of the gerbils were mine, and 2 had been my fault.
한 마리 내 것이었고. 아, 이게 애완동물 거야? 그렇고. 얘게 제일 크네. 두꺼비다.
Sven built the house, but it was Edie who designed the cemetery.
에디가 묘지를 설계했다. 몰리 핀치, 고양이나 날개 달린. 케빈 핀치, 우주비행사가 날고 싶다 했다네. 세븐 핀치, 그 손 잘린 애인가? 스펜, 에디스. 아? 월터 핀치, 바바라 핀치. 어? 첫 번째 그건 누구였지? 아, 몰리가 제일 어린 애였고, 바바라가 그 배우.
I'm sure Odin's monument had been Edie's idea. My mom was always trying to move on, but for Edie, the past never went away.
근데 여기는 과거가 사라지지 않았다. 어?
She could see it poking out of the water at low tide.
그때 물에서 과거가 고개를 내미는 것을 그녀는 볼 수 있었다.
Edie said she dreamed about the old house every night.
에디는 매일 밤 꿈에서 이전 집이 나온다. 아, 이전 집이 이거구나. 정상적인 집일 거라고 생각했던. 에? 이렇게 보는 게 끝이야? 이렇게 끝이야? 찐? 찐이네.
Edie's side was always easier for me to understand.
언제나 내가 더 이야기 더 쉬웠다.
But the older I get, the more I can see where my mom was coming from.
나이가 들수록 엄마를 더 생각할 수 있다.
Her dad had been pretty strict, but it wasn't enough to save her brothers. She was just trying to do better.
엄격해서 살리는 거였구나. 살리고 싶어가지고 엄격했던 거구나.
She lost 2 of her brothers, just like I did. I get why she tried so hard to protect us.
2명을 잃었다. 왜 엄마가 우리를 지키었고 그렇게 노력했는지 알 것 같다.
We never found Milton's body, so my mom insisted we were putting up a monument, not a tombstone.
밀턴. 아, 시체를 못 찾아가지고. 아, 그래서 2명일 수도 있다 했던 거구나.
There's so many things I wish I could ask my mom now. Part of me thinks this is what she wanted all along. For me to come back someday and find everything out for myself.
집이 크긴 커.
But looking back on it now,
이제 돌아보면
if she told me there was going to be so much climbing,
그렇게 올라갈 일이 많았을 거라고.
I never would have come when I was 22 weeks pregnant.
임신 22주에 왔다고? 쉽지 않네. 여기로 가는 거 아니야? 아, 국내 안 보여. 아, 옆에 사다리가 있구나.
I never met Grandpa Sam, but I think he and my mom had a lot in common.
샘 할아버지를 만난 적이 없지만 그는 엄마와 닮았다고 합니다.
They were both pretty intense.
강렬한 인상이었구나. 샘. 반지도 있는데? What?
Dawn, I promise, you'll never forget this weekend.
Yes, sir.
These memories are gonna last a lifetime.
What? Am I gonna have to shoot anything?
It's a hunting trip, Dawn. Shooting is strongly encouraged.
날봐.
Perfect.
안 맞추는구나.
It's gonna rain the whole weekend, isn't it? I will never forget this weekend, Dad.
That's the spirit. Okay, got it.
I'm gonna take some pictures, okay?
Just be careful. That camera's older than you are. Definitely should not have drunk all that coffee. Hey!
That's a keeper.
I'm just saying, I'm not always gonna be here, Dawn. You'll need to remember this stuff, if you want to survive.
I'll be fine, Dad.
You know who else thought he was gonna be fine?
Some guy who died.
Dawn, I'm being serious.
I know, Dad. You're always serious. Doesn't being out here make you want to chill out?
Well, to tell you the truth, I haven't been out here in 20 years.
Dad!
Good eyes, Dawn. Before you take the shot, let me get a picture of you.
Dad, I...
Just breathe. Turn off your imagination. Focus on your target. Let me get behind you.
Do I have to do this?
Dawn, you don't have to do anything. But if you want to survive, you'll need to be strong. Now keep yourself squared up, elbows down, like we practiced. Whenever you're ready.
내가 찍어야 되는 거야?
Great shot, Dawn! I'm proud of you, Dawn. Always remember that, okay?
내가 슬퍼하고 있잖아. 사이코 형?
Dad, it's twitching. I think
That's
it's...
totally normal, Dawn. Just focus on the camera. Try not to think about...
Dad!
오. 쉽지 않네.
Of all these stories, that's the one I wish most that my mom had told me.
쉽지 않네. 쉽지 않아, 쉽지 않아. 군인이었네? 쉽지 않아. 훈장은 또 왜 이렇게 많아?
Sam spent his life shooting photos, but Mom said he got nervous being in front of the camera. I guess we're all afraid of something.
고양이다.
Instead of hiding from death, Sam seemed to go out of his way to meet it.
죽은 소순들이 신입쌤은 죽음을 찾아 나선 것 같았다. 아, 날고 싶다 했던 애 옆방에 사시는 분이구나. 아무래도 밖으로 나가서 뭔가를 찾아야겠지? 비행기 티켓인데 동물 사냥 좋아했구만. 자, 그 다음 어디로 가야 될까? 이쪽은 너무 어둡다. 여기를 왔던 길은 돌아갈 수 없겠고. 역시 안에서 어딘가를 가야 되나? 오, 깜짝이야, 이씨. 아, 여기 문이 있었구나. 방 옆에 이런 거 있으면 시끄러울 텐데.
After Sam died, my mom and Edie got really close. They'd both lost a lot.
샘이 죽은 후 엄마와 에디 사이는 굉장히 가까워졌다. 그레골리 애기인데? 샘 핀치. 아? 나 아직 못 넘겨봤는데?
Dear Kay, do you remember the way Gregory used to laugh when he thought he was alone? Like something funny was happening, but only he could see it.
He'd want you to be happy too. Good luck, Kay. Love, Sam.
오 쉣. 그레고리. Teamwork is fast. Goes down.
I can't imagine my mom ever writing poetry, and yet
엄마야 거스가?
A
거스를
poem
위한
for Gus, who always said the wedding was a bad idea. Our father never hit us kids, at least not very hard, before the day my brother said with teenage disregard that he'd be dead before he'd see a wedding in our yard. My father made him come, of course, but Gus stood far apart, just flew his kite and bottled up the storm inside his heart. I tried to talk him out of it, but though he'd never met her, we don't need a stepmom, were the words that
I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride.
Oh shit.
When the time for photos came, Dad ordered him to come here. But Gus declined and as a sign held up his middle finger.
바람이 좀 떨어진 것 같다.
The wind picked up and panicked geese appeared and quickly went. But all the humans did that day was go inside the tent. The rain came down in buckets then, but no one seemed afraid that nature might destroy the tent our dad had crudely made. The thunder sounded much too close and full of angry power. But all my father said to this was, "Make the music louder."
그럼 나는 가볼까?
I wish that I could
이거는
truly say I thought about you on that day. Out there on the beach alone, just you, the wind, the sea, and foam. But I didn't. Until we found you.
she never talked about him, but Mom told me once if I was a boy, they were going to name me Gus.
호호. 이거는 진짜 자연재해인데? 그럼 다운 얘가 엄마라는 소린 거잖아? 크라임이 있어 무슨 집에? 일과 적혀 있고. 루틴 뭐 이런 것도 있고. 오. 아직 올라오는 버전인가? 아, 여긴 아닌 것 같아. 응, 여긴 아닌 것 같아. 미안해. 미안해, 여긴 아닌 것 같아.
My mom moved up to the loft after her brothers died.
다락으로 방을 옮겼다.
At the time, it was as far away as she could get.
이곳이 당시 엄마가 가장 멀리 갈 수 있는 곳이었다.
Religion was another thing my mom never talked about, but I think it helped her a lot after her dad died.
그치. 인도로 가고 싶어 했구나.
My mom moved to India a week after graduation and got a job teaching English. She spent a summer building houses in Calcutta, where she met my dad, Sanjay.
아빠는 인도인이구나. 그러면
Louis was born a year later.
루이스는 1년 후에 태어났다.
When my dad died, I don't think Mom knew where else to go. I'm sure Edie was happy to have her back.
에디는 아마 분명히 기뻤을 것이다. 루이스, 밀턴, 에디스.
And to see kids in the house again.
다시 아이를 볼 수 있게 된 것도. 민트.
The house had to get a little bigger, but Edie was used to that.
집이 더 커져야 했는데 에디는 익숙했다.
And for a while, things were good. Almost normal.
뭐는 좋았다. 거의 정상인.
But it didn't last.
하지만 오래 가지 않았다. 모든 핀치. 뭔가 여기는 교육의 진심이다. 근데 이런 노트북이랑 이런 장비들 다 놔두고 갔다고?
The beginning of the end was Milton's 10th birthday, when Edie gave him a castle.
밀턴이 10세 생일에 에디가 성을 준 것으로 종말이 시작되었다. 밀턴. 그림 왜 이렇게 하얘? 예술적 재능이 있는데 밀턴 핀치와 마법의 돌.
Milton Finch in The Magic Paintbrush.
그림이 재채기를 해. 이렇게 퇴장하고 끝이야? 쉽지 않네.
I was 4 when Milton disappeared.
밀턴이 사라질 때 난 4살이었다. 에? 이렇게 사라지고 끝난다고? 저기요, 사람 갇혔습니다.
Mom spent months searching for my brother. Then she sealed the doors.
내가 말할 수 있다. 그리고는 문을 찾는 거.
Whatever Milton had found in the house, Mom didn't want it getting out.
여기는 막혀있지? 막혀있구만.
Mom definitely blamed Edie, but I think Louis blamed himself.
루이스는 자신을 비난했다.
After he graduated, he just spent more and more time in his room. Until Mom got him a job at the cannery.
그는 저는 굉장히 지고 싶을 때까지 그랬다. 아니 저주받은 걸 알고 있으면 에디는 성을 물려주면 안 됐지. 이거
Louis's
물담배 아니냐?
room smelled very, very familiar. That part of him lived on.
루이스가 남긴 것이었다. 이거 물담배 같은데? 게임기에 TV 위에 박혀있구나. 좋은데? 컴퓨터도 있고 요 두 모니터. 이건 또 뭐야? 오 쉣. 야 블루투스 헤드셋에다가 지대로인데.
Dear Mrs. Finch, as Louis's psychiatrist, I can understand your desire for an explanation. As I see it, the trouble began in January, shortly after we convinced your son to seek treatment for substance abuse. Newly sober, I believe Louis first noticed the monotony of his daily life. He kept working at the cannery. But he withdrew part of himself. In our sessions, I saw the same behavior. His mind began to...
생선 주세요. 생선 주세요. 이 마음이
wander.
떠돌기 시작했습니다.
I asked him to describe it. He said he started small, imagining a labyrinth. He'd feel his way about. Then something moved. Bats.
바퀴?
And toads. And
용가리인데.
things that have not names. He knew it was all in his head. But he took it very seriously. I had hoped he'd find himself. But he found something more.
오.
I
탑뷰에서
worried about
바뀌었다.
him then.
컵탑인가 이게?
Daydreaming at the cannery.
아니 일하다 보면 공상할 수 있는 거 아니야? 단순
I spoke with his boss.
반복이면?
But he said Louis had become a model employee. Methodical, tireless, focused.
단순 반복 작업이면 해도 되지.
Like a whole new Louis.
물론
So I let him go on.
안전하게 한다는 건 무조건 아니에요. 다른 길인가?
I even encouraged him. It seemed very promising at first. He told me he'd made a new friend.
루이스토피아.
On the edge of a city he named Louis-topia.
Oh shit.
He built the city up slowly, brick by brick.
또 싸움. 아니. 아, 내가
Then he
싼
made
분이라.
musicians.
이 정도 음악
And songs for them to play.
이 결국을 만들 수준이면 씨.
He talked about starting a band. And he was always humming something.
그럴 수도 있는 거 아니야?
Every day his imagination grew stronger.
어우,
He no longer spoke at the cannery. But his chopping was as reliable as ever. Then one day it struck him that all the cheering crowds, even the stones under his feet, were all in his imagination, so he could do whatever he wished. He held an election for mayor. And he won.
와,
They
마리오다.
begged him to stay, but his mind was already wandering. It became a game for him. He'd conquer a city, then immediately push on. New Louisville.
뉴 루이스빌. 이름 뭐소?
St. Louis.
세인트 루이스.
He started drifting away from our reality. Minneapolis. Until one day he forgot to go home from the cannery.
에?
Even as his mother pleaded with him, part of Louis kept sailing on.
그건 쉽지 않은데 티가 안 나고 계속 이거 하고 있다고.
In Louisburg, he heard rumors of a
아름다운 왕자, 멋있는 여왕.
beautiful prince.
생선 주세요.
The prince was on his own quest for
빛나는 무지개.
radiant rainbows.
컷. 아. 컷.
He followed the sound of his
전자 사타를 시타를 이건 또 뭐야?
electric sitar. His chase led him to a golden palace east of the sun and west of the moon.
안경 분자.
Even then, his logic remained sound.
이제 자르는 모습도 안 보여주는 거야?
He knew the world was all in his imagination.
이제
But he was so
커트로
proud of
해서
having
3D
created it. In his own eyes, he'd become something greater than a king. For someone who'd never known success in the real world, I think it was overwhelming. And then it struck him that the real Louis was not the one chopping salmon, but the one climbing the steps of a golden palace. My imagination is as real as my body, he told me. It was was hard to argue with him.
변했나? 회사라 생각하니
Began to forget the world we know.
이 세계를 택했습니다.
I think it pained him to remember Lewis, the cannery worker.
누구야? 엄마야?
He began to despise the man with a royal contempt.
에이, 핀치. 설마 이거 타고 가면 되는 거야?
I still thought I could save him. Even after he said he was being crowned king over all the lands of wonder. The palace would be packed with his companions. Including the wise Calico who'd insisted on inviting him.
물리, 하이. 동시. 그네 진짜. 동시.
His prince waited, holding his crown. There was only one thing left to do. Bend down his head.
안두된데요? 쉽지 않네.
The rest I think you know. Mrs. Finch, your son was a kind man who will be missed by all of us who knew him.
쉽지 않네.
My brother was really cool. I wish you could have met him.
아니 밀턴 그냥 행방불명인 거 아니야? 잠깐만. 이 모든 거에 원흉인 에디는 준년 오래 살았네?
On the way back from Lewis's funeral, my mom told me to start packing. She waited until the day before we left to tell Edie. I'm not sure if she wanted to make it easier or harder. I wish we'd stayed.
안 하고
But I understand why we left.
싶지만 우리가 떠난 지 이해했다. 에디 마음. Teach strong. 다음 핀치.
My mom ended up leaving everything behind. What happened that night had been coming for a long time.
그날 밤 일어난 일은 어쩔 수 없는
Maybe it should
일이었다.
have come sooner.
어쩌면 더 빨리 떠났어야 하는 걸지도 모르겠다.
But it had to end one way or another. All that's left now is to tell you about that last night.
이제 남은 이야기는 마지막 밤뿐이다. 헐? 야, 본인 방이야? 이제 본인 일기 쓰고 있는 거야?
Edie just watched us pack and didn't say a word. Until supper, when she raised her glass and said,
"To our final night together, and all our final nights apart."
Grandma, you know what I said about alcohol. Some of your medications are very
Edith,
specific.
I left a present for you in the hallway. Why don't you go open it? The grown-ups have to argue now.
I'm sorry, you're right. We're all leaving tomorrow. Let's just enjoy our last...
I'm not leaving.
Edith, you're excused.
할머니를 챙겨가려 했는데 할머니 안 가려 했구나. 그럴 수 있지.
The power had been shut off that morning, but Edie always had plenty of candles. When my mom sailed the library, I don't think she knew about the other entrance. Or that Edie had a key to it.
내가 생각하시고 싶다 아무것도.
That thing you're afraid of isn't going to end when you leave the house.
에디가 할머니였구나.
Edith has a right to know these stories.
My children are dead because of your stories. I think it's best if Edith and I leave tonight.
그게 할머니는 잘 살았으면서 어이가
We'll have the
없네.
nursing home send a van for you in the morning. Okay?
에디, 핀치.
Dear Edith, there's so many stories I wish I could tell you, but there's only time for one. This is about what happened on the night you were born. That night, the tide went way, way out. It was the first and last time I ever saw the old house aground. There'd been an earthquake out in the middle of the ocean. They called it the lowest tide in 1,000 years. God, it smelled awful. You know, I've seen that house every day of my life.
원래 살던 집이라서?
But I never thought I'd go back to it. When the fog rolled in, I lost my way. I got turned around.
하.
For a while, I wandered.
너한테 왜 하게 됐어?
I started seeing things.
그것들이 보이기 시작했지. 근데 실제로 해무가 그렇게 안 보인다고 하긴 하더라고.
Things I'd forgotten had ever existed.
준비하고 있다는 것을 잊고 있었던 사실.
But when I saw them, they felt like old friends. That night, a lot of things came back to me. Or maybe I came back to them. Things I can't explain, but that I need you to try and...
Edith, what are you doing in here?
It's mine.
Edith!
Mom, you're gonna rip it! Let go! I kicked and screamed, but Mom dragged me to the car. I never saw Great Grandma Edie again. The next morning, the band came to pick her up, but she was already gone. After that, we moved around a lot. We both tried to make the best of it. A few years went by.
몇 년이 지나갔다.
My mom didn't like to talk about it, but she started getting sick a lot. The rest happened pretty quickly.
아프기 시작했구나. 무슨 금방이 나갔다.
She got better for a while, and then she didn't. And then I was alone. The last Finch left alive. Until I found out about you. I'm still not sure what to tell you about all this. If we lived forever, maybe we'd have time to understand things. But as it is, I think the best we can do is try to open our eyes and appreciate how strange and brief all of this is. This journal was supposed to be for you. But now I hope you'll never see it. I just want to meet you and tell you all these stories myself. But I guess if you're reading this now, things didn't work out that way. This is where your story begins. I'm sorry I won't be there to see it. It's a lot to ask, but I don't want you to be sad that I'm gone. I want you to be amazed that any of us ever had a chance to be here at all. Good luck.
Edith, Finch. 아, 내가 플레이했던 걔는 죽었. 오, 쉣. 집이 한 칸 더 늘었어? 위로? 아니지? 오, 쉣. 오. 5년 만에 만든 게임이야? The End. 여기까지 에디슨 핀치가 남긴 유산이라는 게임이었습니다. 감사합니다.